Hello, welcome back. Today we are chatting about all things scrappy. I have a new scrappy block. It's a scrappy butterfly block this time around, the perfect springy little block. And I have my Scrappy Irish Chain quilt that I have completely finished up. So I'm excited to chat more about the block, the quilt, so stick around. Let's start by talking about this Scrappy Irish Chain quilt. I have finished it up. Here she is in all her scrappy gloriousness. This was a fun one to work on. As I said last Saturday in my video, I was hoping to have this done to share with you this week along with that new block pattern, and lo and behold, I have accomplished both. So this is done. It is smaller than what the original pattern called for. It is 3 blocks across by 3 blocks down, making it 54 inches square. It would be an additional 36 inches in both directions, vertically and horizontally, if I had followed the pattern. This makes a really big quilt and a great scrap buster if you follow the pattern. I do have the videos that I've shared in regard to this scrappy sew along linked in the description box below. So if you are new to this sew along, new to these scrappy blocks we're going to be chatting about, you will find all kinds of good information down there. One thing I do want to share about this quilt, last Saturday, someone asked me about this fabric I used in these big spaces. This print is from my Beautiful Day line of fabric, and they were wondering if it was still available. If it is, it would just be whatever's left in quilt shops. Beautiful Day has been out for a little while, and this was a popular fabric. A lot of people were using it for backgrounds. So if there is any availability, it's just whatever is still left in quilt shops right now. I did a quick online Google search and nothing popped up super quickly. If you're a quilt shop and you do have some of this print available, feel free to leave that in the comments below. We would love to have that information because I know some people are looking for that. But I also wanted to let you know about this fabric here. This is a print that I have in my upcoming Starberry line of fabric, and it is similar. So it has the pine sprigs in it, and the flowers are a little bit different, but it still has that pretty rose motif there. So this would be a fabric that you could use in place of this one if you wanted to. It reads maybe a little bit wintry with those pine sprigs, but I wouldn't have any problem mixing it in with other fabric lines. The color on this is more of a beigey brownish shade as opposed to this darker grayish shade. This gray is going to be more similar in color to this gray solid right here. But as far as using it for a background, it's going to work really nicely. That's what it looks like unfolded. The background color is the same as Motabella Solid in the color Off-White, which is 9900-200. That is the color that matches all of my lines of fabric. And I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that fabric there. Starberry should be out end of May, beginning of June, something like that. It's starting to arrive. Maybe pre-cuts are starting to arrive here and there. I film these videos about a week ahead of when you guys see them. So sometimes things change a little bit by the time the videos go up, but it will be in shops very soon. So keep an eye out for that. Okay. That is the Scrappy Irish Chain update. Are you guys still working on your Scrappy Irish Chains? Are you done? I know a lot of you are done, but I know a lot of you are working. And I know some of you are just finding these videos, so I think we are in all stages of progress on this quilt along. But it's such a good one to bust those scraps. All 2-inch finished squares, and we do end up with a lot of that size, especially if you're working with pre-cuts. Jelly roll strips is one that really pops into mind, and mini charm packs, because that's oftentimes what we're going to end up with is those 2.5-inch squares. So a good one for those scraps. And that is also why I have been sharing the scrappy blocks, because I know that you might end up with extra 2.5-inch squares. And so these blocks use primarily 2.5-inch squares. If you have been following this series, you know that some of them use slightly different sizes. There's some 3-inch squares in there. We have some rectangle pieces, but mostly 2.5-inch squares or 3-inch squares if it has a lot of half square triangles. like this scrappy heart does. These are the blocks that have been released so far. I wasn't sure how many I had, but apparently 8 of them, because this is what we've got. And now we have the 9th, the Scrappy Butterfly. I said last Saturday that it needed to come out sooner rather than later because it was such a springy block, and now you can see exactly what I mean. So this is Scrappy Butterfly. I will say one thing, I like the way my block turned out, but when you are choosing fabrics, this one might need a little bit more contrast than what I gave to it here. You'll see in my pattern, my blues, I had planned to do a little bit darker, and the contrast would have been better if I had stuck with my original plan. Super springy in this palette, but you do have to be a little bit careful with your low volumes when we are working with these kind of pastel-y colors. So keep that in mind when you're choosing those fabrics. Now we're going to go over the pattern a little bit. I had asked the last time I shared a scrappy block if you guys like when I go over the pattern or if you'd rather I skip it, and everybody said they liked it. So we're going to go over the pattern. Before I dive into that, I did also want to mention that all of these scrappy blocks are free block patterns over on my blog, and I have my blog linked below. So if you want to print or download any of those, you can easily find them. Okay. Moving on to the pattern, very similar to what we've done in previous scrappy blocks, a variety of different sized squares and rectangles you're going to need, and then working our way down through the pattern. Start with the half square triangles for your yellows, all those pretty yellows and whites, those are the half square triangles there. Pressing these open. And then we're going to do some stitch and flip corners as we move through our pattern. We need a couple for the pinks here. Those are stitch and flip. Here we have stitch and flip, these two and these two. I will say when you are doing the stitch and flips on your rectangle sized pieces, because those are cut at 2 inches by 2.5, pay attention to making sure you get those on the right corners. You want them to be laid out with 2.5 going vertically and 2 inches horizontally when you are placing your stitch and flip corners, to make sure that those are on the right sides. That's going to matter. And that would be for these pieces here and then down here. Now on these stitch and flips, which we make first, those you could really do on any corner. Those are square pieces, so that's not going to matter as much, but rectangles do matter. So pay attention there. And then when you have all of your stitch and flips done, your half square triangles done, then you are going to piece the 2 sides of your butterfly wings. That would be this half right here and then this half right here. Once you have those done, you put your little butterfly center there, and then you are just adding your top and bottom rows of half square triangles. Those yellow half square triangles, what you see here in step 10. Just like always, I have all of your pressing information outlined. You'll see those by the arrows, so you can follow the pressing. And as with previous patterns, if you are making a bunch of these butterfly patterns, you are going to want to press all of your seams open. Now, as I am wrapping up this video, I'm realizing that I forgot to do my little layout where I show you what this block would look like in a quilt top. So I always have it over on my blog. You'll just need to pop over there to see what this block looks like in a quilt top. But just like with the other blocks that I have done, I'm actually going to just go up and print that out real quick. I'm just going to go print that out real quick so that you can see that right now. So Ryan will put up some fancy little zhuzh, and I'm going to come back and show you what that looks like. 1 second. And I'm back. I've got my little printouts ready. Right before I started to film this video, I got horribly distracted. I had just told Ryan, hey, we can go down and film. I'm just about ready. And then an idea popped in my head for a quilt. And so then I had to go pull fabrics and see how that looked. And then I had to find the exact fabrics that I wanted because I didn't have quite what I wanted. And it messed up everything. It didn't mess up everything I was planning for this video, but my frame of mind was still like on that quilt. And so completely forgot to print these out before we started filming, but I've got them now. And I also have a fun fabric pull for that other quilt. So maybe I'll share that here sometime. We'll have to see what happens. Here is what this quilt could look like laid out. Now these two look very similar. The only thing that I did is pivoted my butterflies around on this one. So here the blues are all on the top, and on this mock-up they rotate. I think this block would be really cute either using different colors for all of your butterfly wings, you know, blue, pink, yellow, green, something like that, or going completely scrappy and making just completely scrappy butterflies. I'm not sure how the completely scrappy would look. You'll have to be a little bit careful that you don't lose your shape if you go completely scrappy, but I think that could be really pretty. So I just wanted to show you kind of what it would look like. The secondary design created by these yellow half square triangles is really pretty on this one. It's another one that is going to work great if you wanted to just use it for a little table topper, or if you wanted to use it for a table runner. You know, 1x3 blocks or 2x2 would be cute for those options. And just a really neat springtime block. So that is our new addition. See if I can stick him up here. This design wall is the Fawns and Porter design wall, and it is basically a shower curtain with like fleeciness on the one side, and it works really great when I want to transport a design wall from room to room and hang it up somewhere. And then we just have a curtain rod or a shower curtain hanging up there, and you can easily use it for your design wall, and it doesn't have to stay up there all the time. So I'm going to, whenever I have this in one of my videos, I get asked about it. So I will mention the product name down below. So if you're looking for it, you can find it. But the Fawns and Porter design wall, and it's just a nifty little one to have. So that's what the butterfly looks like down here. It would mix beautifully, I think, with the Scrappy Tulip block up above, or even the Scrappy Clover block. This block lends itself really well to looking like a flower if you change it from the green. So you could really have a fun springtime quilt using those 3 blocks just by changing your fabric colors around a little bit. So I see that we have 9, we're up to 9 blocks. I'm hoping to at least get us up to 12, so that if you wanted to do some kind of a scrappy sampler, you could do 3 blocks across by 4 blocks down and end up with a nice sized quilt. But these have been really fun, so we'll see what happens. I do have some more designs of these already planned, and I will be sharing those over the next few months. Hopefully, make sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss out on any of those block releases. And as I said, I have the information to download those patterns in the description box below. So I think that is it for today. You'll have to let me know what you're working on. Are you working on scrappy blocks? Are you doing works in progress? Are you gardening? Maybe we're just out gardening right now. It's been beautiful in Ohio, and so maybe that's something that you're doing. Let me know what you've got going on this week. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll catch you again next time.